Mike Johnson. Oh, he takes center stage in this story, I assure you of that. He has a massive failure on his hands, a victory for the moment for we the people, and a victory for Marjorie Taylor Greene, because something just happened in the House involving the FBI, involving, that's right, Christopher Wray, who makes fresh pitch for spy program renewal and says it'd be devastating if it lapsed. All about Section 702, to be more specific, and that limitless spying warrant that the FBI has been granted, that anyone who cares about freedom and liberty would want to see stripped away, controlled, put in check, but it appears a lot of Republicans have something else in mind. Section 702, the procedures for targeting certain persons outside the United States other than United States persons, but we've seen how that's been abused and misused. As a matter of fact, 3,394,053 times, to be more specific, by the FBI. Here, Christopher Wray questions as to why the ODNI found that many inquiries or queries into the American public. It has Donald Trump screaming, "Kill FISA. It was illegally used against me and many others. They spied on my campaign." Donald J. Trump posted that on April 9th. And then the House goes in chaos. A vote that no one expected to see on that very extension of FISA surveillance authority. They were looking to extend it all the way through 2029. But then the unthinkable happened. And that's the story I'm going to cover for you today. Before I do, two huge favors. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure your bell is checked to all so you're alerted to upcoming broadcasts, or else you just simply won't hear unless you're subscribed over at Restricted Republic or, of course, at justusaknight.com. And then one other huge favor. I need you to go to blackforcesupplements.com/Restricted Republic today. This supplement has absolutely changed my life. It's the reason I agreed to go with these guys, besides what they stand for. It was this product. Here's a little bit more about it. The three-letter agencies, once a symbol of protection and order, will now seem to be weaponized against us, don't they? To give you an idea of the gravity of this, just think about the militarization of so many of the federal agencies. The IRS now owning 4,500 guns, 5 million rounds of ammunition just to collect our taxes. Do you know the number of non-Department of Defense employees now with firearms, which includes the letter agencies just like we're discussing today? 200,000. And there's a company who's in this fight with me against this tyranny. I need you to go to blackforcesupplements.com/restricted. Again, blackforcesupplements.com/restricted. This isn't just any supplement they're offering. This is an absolute game changer. A recent Harvard study, it shows that NMN can help reduce weight, cholesterol, even blood pressure in overweight adults. This thing has been dubbed the limitless pill. It's like the fountain of youth in a bottle, they say, but the FDA, why are they trying to keep it away from us? Why? Because the FDA has been working to get this not to be classified as supplement anymore and to be classified as a drug, and then guess who would make the money off of it? Buy two, get one free. How do you go wrong with that? You got 40 hours to take advantage of this deal. This stuff isn't cheap, so it's a great opportunity to stock up. As I urge you to check out the link in the description box below for what I consider to be my most important supplement. That is NMN from Black Force Supplements. Amazing company, amazing sponsor. Thank you guys. Get to the link below right now. All right, let's get on with this broadcast today. A couple notes before we get moving. A couple updates. If you remember, Donald Trump was trying to delay his hush money trial. He appealed the gag order. It was thrown away, of course. They don't want Donald Trump getting away with anything in their eyes, even if there's evidence that Donald Trump just posted. As a matter of fact, yesterday. To whom it may concern, the official statement of Stormy Daniels, written January 30th of 2018. Over the past few weeks, I've been asked countless times to comment on reports of an alleged sexual relationship I had with Donald Trump many years ago. The fact of the matter is that each party to this alleged affair denied its existence in 2006, 2011, 2016, 2017, 2018, and I am not denying this affair because I was paid hush money. as has been reported in overseas-owned tabloids. No, I am denying this affair because it never happened. Now, normally a letter like that would dismiss this case immediately. Donald J. Trump now sharing it with the world yesterday. As he states, look what I just found. I wonder if the fake news will report on this. I think you already know the answer to that, Donald. So then Trump goes to the Supreme Court, urges them to fast track his dispute about that immunity claim. And lo and behold, friends of the court filed this briefing from multiple retired and active military personnel that states presidential immunity from criminal prosecution feeds those false and harmful narratives. Unless petitioner's theory is rejected, we risk jeopardizing America's standing as a guardian of democracy in the world and further feeding the spread of authoritarianism, thereby threatening the national security of the United States and democracies around the world. First, the term democracy. Second, now they're calling Trump, again, a national security threat by these ex and active military personnel. There's the full list to be more specific. Of course, this is the same military that just published this picture. And if you look close enough, you'd realize there's something very wrong with this picture. That's right. The scope is facing the wrong way. Now the comments ensued immediately after the military posted that picture, some of which made me laugh. Of course, you got to find it now. It's been taken down. The military realizing their blunder, but the comments ensued anyway. My favorite being, we're going to lose a major war. It's actually no laughing matter. Who would possibly publish a picture with a scope facing the wrong way? Can't make it up. Our U.S. military did that. Not a proud moment. And Mike Johnson, not a proud moment for you either, huh? A little rough day for you yesterday, wasn't it? Deservingly so, mind you. I know. I hope many of you know I am not a Mike Johnson fan, if you haven't noticed. I was actually not a huge Marjorie Taylor Greene fan either, but she's growing on me. At least she's doing something. She's saying something, and she's generally pointed in the right direction if you can get rid of some of her tabloid statements, granted. But let's take it for what it's worth right now, because Mike Johnson was facing against the FBI and their FISA, their rampant FISA abuse. This should have been a very black and white answer. Either remove FISA completely or put it in check, as Jim Jordan requested. Simply make sure there is a check and balance on a FISA request. Another party declaring it's okay and legal and within the bounds of the Constitution and protects our rights and our freedoms. But I guess that was too much to ask. Maybe they just have fallen in love with Christopher Wray, who now suddenly coming up with all these internal threats. Heck, you can't get rid of FISA. You can't do that, because then I couldn't protect you against all these new threats I'm now reporting on, these lone wolves and everything else that has picked up pace over the last couple weeks. I hope that's making sense. Now, Senate and the House of Representatives both had a lot of questions for Christopher Wray, sharp questions about this. I don't even know why you call it foreign surveillance extension. That's garbage. Texas Republican John Cornyn called the provision one of the most important laws that the American people have never heard of. No, we've heard plenty about Section 702, John. Thank you for insulting us. However, both Durbin and Cornyn acknowledged that they were concerned about provision policy of warrantless searches, pointing out the possibility that law enforcement could abuse Section 702 to surveil innocent Americans. Let me correct that statement. It's already been abused multiple times over. I'll remind you of a few examples here in just a second. To say it could be is a ludicrous, ridiculous, and insulting statement. Wray replied that the FBI is working to address transparency issues, as we've heard time and time again, but it doesn't work. Because until the ODNI came in, we didn't even know there was over 3 million queries. So much for your transparency, Chris Wray. That transparency will never exist as long as you are leading the FBI, because you don't want it to exist. Under current law, it is illegal to target an American citizen for surveillance without first demonstrating probable cause to a judge, he added. if you demonstrate a probable cause and if the procedures were ever followed. But unfortunately, it's been shown time and time again those procedures weren't followed. And that's where we take issue with FISA and Section 702 to be more particular. And Trump knows all too well about it, and so does Carter Page, FBI lawyer to plead guilty of falsifying document for Carter Page FISA warrant. 2 of 4 warrants letting FBI spy on ex-Trump aide Carter Page were not valid, as it was the case time and time and time again. They used it to surveil not only those involved with January 6th, but also those that protested Black Lives Matter. That would be an abuse of FISA, and hence why it should have been a simple decision to change. But it took, well, I'll get there in a moment. At best, the FBI misled the court to wiretap Trump campaign FISA application shows. FBI director, remember, now concerned about lone wolves or small groups that will gather twisted inspiration from events in the Middle East and Russia. Am I arguing with him about that? I'm not, except when it comes to Christopher Wray. Always remember there is a reason and there is a context. There is always a reason and a context because he's abused his power. Remember those 3.3 billion Americans that were spied on by the FBI without a warrant. Hence, again, why there needed to be a change. Hence, why Marjorie Taylor Greene is going into chaos and insanity about Michael Johnson not stopping this. And he did it again. It's why she wants him to step down, amongst a multitude of other reasons, like 1.2 trillion misspent dollars, our tax dollars, your hard-earned money, my hard-earned money. But yet 193 Republicans voted to go ahead and extend it. That's FISA. 19 brave Republicans joined the Democrats in stopping it. For now. Not extending it. Without further debate of how they're going to do it. Are they ever going to completely drop FISA? No, of course not. Should it be put in check? Should it not involve a single American citizen? Spot on. But is anybody in this House or this Senate capable of doing that? My answer would be a staunch no. So the vote came in, 228 nays, 193 yeas, 10 no votes. Chaos ensued in the House. That's not what Mike Johnson wanted. Oh, porcito. House conservatives tank FISA bill and blow to Speaker Johnson. Well, he's getting a lot, and he deserves a lot. But it was all Donald Trump, wasn't it? Who said kill it. Well, somebody listened. First time ever that Jim Jordan and Gerald Nadler are actually on the same page. In a 193 to 226 vote, lawmakers decided not to advance Representative Laura Lee's, Republican out of Florida, Reformed Intelligence and Securing American Act, which would have extended the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act's controversial Section 702 for a period of 5 years, due to lapse on April 19th. Conservatives who voted against the bill's advancement were Green, Getz, Boebert, Bishop, Andy Biggs, Burkett, Michael Cloud, Bob Good, Nancy Mace, Ralph Norman, Chip Roy, Eli Crane, Paul Gosar, Clay Higgins, Annal, Paulina, Luna, Corey Mills, Scott Perry, Matt Rosendale, Greg Stone. Those are the people who are representing us right now. That's their names. The ones we actually need. There's a little bit more information on this, though. There was a carve-out that goes to tell you exactly how bad this section is. This section that looked and conducted, an FBI that conducted 3,394,053 U.S. person queries in 2021 compared to 2020. Nobody will ever look at me in the face and tell me the change is not needed. But let's go to this little bit more information. This goes on about how Jim Jordan and ranking member Jerry Nadler are in agreement. Strange as that is. When you have the history we have with this organization relative to not following the rules, we think you need a separate and equal branch of the government to approve a warrant. Mr. Jordan said in defense of the amendment during his opening remarks, the warrant requirement has to be in the legislation, or I don't think we've done our job. Why would Democrats suddenly be on our side? Well, that's right, because Trump's about to win office, and they certainly don't want this being used against them, do they? But I digress for a minute. Earlier on April 10th, the Speaker expressed support for the bill, saying it enacted sweeping changes in the form of over 50 reforms, just not the one that made a difference, the one that would have protected us. And if it was such a good piece of legislation and law and rule, well, then why would Congress have carved out themselves from FISA 702? Representative Massey shares the information with us. It's very telling information. The director of the Federal Bureau of Investigations, this is within the legislation that did not get pushed through, should promptly notify appropriate congressional leadership of any query conducted by the FBI using a query term that is reasonably believed, and we'll move on here, to be the name or personal identity of any member of Congress. So go ahead and surveil every U.S. citizen, we the people, but if there's a query term that involves a congressional member, you have to inform us, and we'd like you not to do that. Seriously, this is what they put in as a carve-out, as a portion of this legislation. They were trying to push through this extension of FISA. They tried to carve themselves out. These are our elected representatives. Ask yourself, if there's nothing wrong or unconstitutional in this program, why does Congress want to carve out for itself? Shortly, I'll post a video of my questioning of the Intel chairman about this topic in the Rules Committee this evening. Representative Thomas Massey, thank you for looking out for us. At least somebody is. Because Mike Johnson, you didn't listen again. When Donald Trump made it very simple, kill FISA. It was an easy request, one you should have simply been able to follow, but you chose not to. Again. And you, like so many other Republicans, again, chose not to represent we the people. It's becoming beyond disturbing at this point in time. And then, to add insult to injury, you provide your own congressional carve-out, telling us on one hand this legislation is needed, but on the other hand, it's just not needed for us being Congress. And that is absolutely unacceptable and disgusting. Hope you enjoyed this broadcast. I love you all. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless. Justus Knight, signing out.